I've always enjoyed the artwork in the Soul Calibur series, most specifically the costumes of the fighting cast. I've always liked how they continue to evolve from game to game, but at the same time they keep a sense of consistency. And they also reflect on the character's personality, and in some cases reflect on what's going on with the character in their individual story. So I thought that since Soul Calibur 4 is going to be coming out later this year, that I'd take a minute to basically give my opinion on some of the cast members' new costumes. So bear with me, this might take a minute. Speaking of consistent designs, this design is very similar to how Shenghua looked in one of her costumes from Soul Calibur 1. I liked how the colors mesh together. I like how they look reflective. It's almost like a prism quality to them. And at the same time, it's like it does encapsulate her personality quite well. It's sort of bubbly and breezy. Pardon me. In the color edit mode of Soul Calibur 3, I would always give Tira black hair and a red outfit. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see this costume. And plus, she still looks psychotic. And those purple piercing eyes. Taki is not one of my favorite characters. I don't play as her very well. And I really don't think that they do. I don't really think that they've done an awful lot to change this design over the years. I mean, in the last game it was blue, now it's red again. Taki's design is just boring to me. I know she's got a fan base and she's an integral part of the story, but she's just not one of my favorites. Sangmina, on the other hand, is one of my favorites. I've always liked her design, I've always liked her personality, I've always liked her moves, and this time is no different. I'm very much looking forward to trying her again. Young Sung is one of my least favorite characters. I've always found everything about him irritating. It's irritating to play as him. It's irritating to fight against him. It's irritating to listen to him. It's irritating to look at him. So I'm just going to move on. I'm glad that they didn't give him a Jack Sparrow look this time around. Well, what can I say about Maxie? He's an alright character. They've never done... Well, I never feel that they do anything really original with this design. I mean, the belt on the arm... why did they put a belt on his arm? Is that even a belt? I mean, what... It's just a boring design, but I like the character. Siegfried! He always reminds me of He-Man for some reason. I like how I like how it looks as if Soul Calibur has crystallized over his armor. It gives him a bit of an angelic quality. Perfect opposite to Nightmare, of course. And Nightmare was my best character in Soul Calibur 2 and in number 3, and I predict that he will continue to be. I've always liked the design of Nightmare. He's just the perfect villain for the series. More so than Zasalamel. And I have to admit that I'm not too looking forward to seeing Night Terror again. Well, I am because I like the design, but it just took so long for me to beat him. Night Terror is definitely worthy of his name. I've always liked Mitsurugi's sort of his appearance. And this time's no different. I like that smug expression on his face. Like he wears his confidence on his sleeve, so to speak. And I would very much like to see a game where he goes up against Haomaru from Samurai Showdown. That would be cool. Every fighting game needs an oddball. Every fighting game needs a character that just blurs reality and fantasy. And I suppose Soul Calibur has a number of those. Well, obviously has a number of those, but the definite wacko of the group is Lizard Man. He cuts off his own tail. And I like how this design reminds me of Jurassic Park. I'm kind of curious as to where Keelik got this costume. Well, that's pretty much it. They went overboard with this costume. Or, could you call it a costume? It looks more like 2 eye patches and a piece of tape. Just bad design, just bad call on their part. This is my favorite design out of all of Cassandra's costumes. It's sexy, but at the same time it's classy, and she's definitely one of the more conservative appearances of all the Soul Calibur ladies. Speaking of ladies, I'm kidding. This guy just creeps me out. Anybody figure out just where the goggles come from? Like, are those supposed to be goggles, or are they like those miniature microscopes that Gold Press can't talk tonight? Are they supposed to be like those miniature microscopes that jewel prospectors use to get a good look at diamonds and whatnot? Because I imagine Valdo doesn't really have much use for those. And finally, one of my favorite characters and one of my least favorite costumes. I don't know. I don't know why they went in this direction. I kind of liked how she looked in Soul Calibur 3. I mean, at the very least she was wearing some armor. I mean, in a game where swords and axes and spears, I mean, you think that she would at least put on some armor. I mean, something more than a dishcloth. Well, anyway, that's it for now. Next video should include Raphael, Astaroth, Darth Vader, Yoda, and the rest of the cast of the Soul Calibur series. So, until then...